That was good, wasn't it? Megan, non-emotional.
I know, right?
Yeah,
What the
right?
heck? It's like, it's all right.
It's okay. My name's Brad Hogan. I'm a business guy here in Central Florida. If you join me for the first time, and I'm excited to have family here today, Dee Greene, and really just talking about the path and talking about Dee's path to success. He is a business coach, super successful. He's traveled, I won't say all over the world, but how many countries have you been to
12
in
at
the
this
last
point?
24 months?
Oh, in the last month, 5 or 6.
There we go. And just living life on his terms, and really just want to talk about how you kind of got there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I talk about we all kind of fail our way to success, but what was the road like to get to where you're at today?
In college, my goal was not really college, right? Messaging family, like I want to take a break.
I remember that.
My gosh. It's like, no, you got to get your degree and everything. So actually, I remember I was going for business or music or something, and I saw the Facebook movie. And then I remember I told them, like, this is what I want to do. So I sat with the counselor. She's like, these are the classes you need to take. This is going to help you kind of get into that role. And then when I started taking the classes, I told her, like, this doesn't align with what I told you. And then she's like, well, it's not mandatory that they update the class's description or anything like this. So these are like years old. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I want to start my own thing. I was doing music production, rapping, and then I started a clothing line. So I think that's how I got into entrepreneurship.
I remember.
Yeah. I had a friend, two friends kind of. I had one that had a actual in-person clothing brand that we all used to go to hang out. And so I was really close with him. And then we had the founder of Dope Couture, which is kind of like a big popular brand now, but it started at Indiana University. They used to have like Big Sean and these guys are like popular rappers now, but at the time, like Wiz Khalifa, nobody knew who they were. So we used to hang out there too. He moved to Los Angeles. And then the other guy, I messaged him one day. I was like, hey, I want to start a clothing line. I was seeing if you had any tips. And he was just like I closed my shop, but I opened up a printing company so I could print all your stuff. And you come over here, I'll tell you what to do. So that's what got me into entrepreneurship. Graduated, didn't ever go to any, like internships or anything like that. Yep. So at that point, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I was working at the UPS store in Columbus, Ohio, or Columbus, Indiana. From there, I remember like people would come into the store and they would talk to me and they're like, why are you working here? Like, you're way too smart to just be behind this counter taking my package, I can tell. And the people that were working with me felt the same way. So I wanted to go to Los Angeles. I remember talking to your mom about it, and she's like, you need to have $20,000 saved up before you go there. I'm like, if I could save $20,000, I wouldn't even have called you. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So they're like, come to Orlando, try it out here. So when I came, the focus should be trying to get a job that has benefits and good pay. That should be like the focus.
But isn't that kind of traditional? Isn't
Yeah.
that what everybody thinks? You're a college graduate at this point. I mean, go get a job.
I think it kind of sucked because it's like, you know what you want to do. So you're like, I don't want to waste time going to school. So I want to go do this thing. But people are like, no, you need to at least just finish.
And I remember Brian being my brother, Brian and I saying, just finish.
Yeah.
And you did, right? You finished. Are you glad you finished?
No. I'm not glad I didn't, but I don't think it's not like something I'm like, oh, I'm so happy that happened. I think by going to IU, I made a lot of connections and I learned how to network. But I think just by simply graduating, I don't think it maybe it made a huge difference. Maybe it didn't. So for me, it just felt like a trap. People tell you, just at least finish. So you finish, and then they say, well, you went. You might as well at least get a job. You get a job. It's like, well, you're not going to just quit. You stayed there. Then it's like, well, now that you're here, you need to get a house, but you can't just be in any house. You have this, and if you have this nice house, you can't just have that car. You got it. Like, it's never stops. I remember for me, what changed was seeing Ty Lopez on these always on these YouTube ads.
I remember
these
that.
YouTube ads. That was like, I think at that time, he was the first person that was really like online coaching that was like, you could see ads from really. I don't remember the exact words. And it wasn't the Here in My Garage thing, but it was like, if you want to manifest your dreams and become someone in life, you need to do this, blah, blah, blah.
I remember you asking me, do you know this guy? And we were watching it online.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? I don't want to watch this. Like, I'm always trying to skip the ads. So one day I'm like, let me check out his channel and like see what it is. So, because everyone in the comments is like 99% is like, this is a scam, this is dumb, he's trying to take your money. So let me actually do my own research. And I was like, this information is really, really good. So that's when I started watching his content, learning more about like social media and just kind of changing my mindset about entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So, fast forwarding through the story like a little bit, I got this offer to work for a cigarette company where I would be selling not cigarettes. I think I was selling like, what is it called? Like these little cards where they get a discount. I forget what you call like a brochure or something like that. To where like if they take it, they can like a rebate basically. Like they can take it and get their money off, right?
Like a coupon type thing?
Yeah, like a coupon. Coupon, that's the word I'm looking for. So all I had to do, I had to go to the gas stations and I would just sit out there, like ask people if I think they had to take a survey. In exchange for the survey, they got a coupon. They was like $20 an hour, your own boss, and you just go to these different places. But I was like, I don't really, like, I don't know, that doesn't align with my values, like selling them cigarettes. I don't really want to do it, but it's good money. Maybe I could take that money and put it into a business. So I was like kind of stuck. I had done the interview actually, and it was like I think a week or something. I was supposed to make a decision. And this is when your brother Brian was like, hey, can you come in? I'm thinking about getting rid of our marketing company. I just want to see if you know how to do some of this stuff. Asked me, I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So he's like, hey, we would like you to start taking this over, but because it's a partnership, I can't just pay you a crazy salary. He's going to think I'm just getting rid of these people and just paying my family, whatever, which I definitely understood. So he's like, we're going to do it hourly. It wasn't a crazy amount. Like, we're going to do it hourly, but you can do your own thing. So I can't cap you on the hours. So was kind of like the loophole that we had.
Sure.
Where he's like, you'll be able to make some good money. You'll be able to help us out. When I was getting into Ty Lopez, I saw that he had this YouTube video that was about making a social media agency. At the time, I always thought that in order to do social media for a company, you had to work for them directly. I didn't know you could like start a business. Like I didn't
Independent.
know that. I didn't know a business could hire a business. I never even thought of that really. So I asked Brian, I said, man, I want to take this course on like increasing my skills.
Yep.
On social media. And he's like, okay, how much is it? And I was like, well, it's just like $1,000. And he's like, nah, no way. So I'm like, okay, like that is, it's not like it's like $100. So I'm like, all right. So I'm still watching Ty Lopez's lives, like his Instagram lives. I'm like, man, I really want to do this. Like, not even to start a business, but I wanted to learn the skills that way I could get him better results and like know what I was doing. So there was a live and everybody was complaining about like $1,000. This is too much. Like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I don't know what made me think about this, but I was like, why are we all complaining? Like there's like 10,000 of us in here. Let's create a group, split it up. So then someone said, all right. And then someone, all right. And then, well, who's going to create the group? Someone created the group, put us in there. I think it was on Instagram Messenger or something like that. We had like 10 or 15 or 20 of us or something. We're like, okay, 20 people paying like $1,000. We kind of nominated one person that we all trusted that everybody would pay. That person would pay for it. And then I remember like we're all trusting after we sent the money that person would actually give us the login and not just take it. So at that point, I got we all got the login information. And I started learning about like social media from that. So I was able to like get better at what I was doing for Brian at the time. But then also I remember asking him like, hey, right now you guys are paying me hourly, but I'm learning more. So let's say what used to take me an hour or 2 or 3 takes me 30 minutes, but I'm getting paid less. Is there a way that you'd be willing to just pay me what the bare minimum would be up front? And then if I have to work overtime, you don't have to pay me anymore. But if it takes me less, then I still make the same. I thought that was going to be a huge
good use
no.
of your time.
I thought it was going to be like a no, we'll never do that. But he was like, all right, fine. So then from there, I was like, oh man, that was a lot less stressful than what I thought that conversation was going to go. So I was like, what happens if I just called another business and said it? So I told him, I forget how much, it wasn't that much at the time. It was like a couple $100.
Did you learn that through a course?
Yeah,
was
through that course. It's like, here's kind of what to say, here's what to do. I had also invested like a couple of weeks later something in Sam Ovens.
I remember you going through some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember you sitting there in the kitchen on your laptop. I remember hearing some of that while I wasn't tuned into it.
Yeah.
But passing through, coaching you. Easier? Would you spend $1,000 again to get a coach for a shortcut? Right?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat, man.
Heck yeah. Like
if somebody knows how to do it and I can shortcut it, 100%.
Before that, to go back a little bit, I was working at, so when I came, I was working at Disney for a little bit at Valet. That's how I met my wife, Lauren, now. From there, I tried to do this thing at Deloitte.
I forgot about Disney.
I went to Deloitte. They had this thing where it's like, we're going to teach you for 8 weeks. Afterwards, you'll have a full-time job at Deloitte. After the 8 weeks, Deloitte was like, hey, we don't have any job openings. So I had to let go of my other job. I had to spend the 8 weeks not getting paid because we had to go to, I forget what city it was, but it's like 30 minutes or an hour away from here. We had to spend all day there. So then I was working at Tommy Bahama in the mall, if you remember that.
I remember that. Yeah.
I used to go to the mall, Millennium Mall, like every day in a suit.
You're just doing whatever you had to do.
Yeah, I was going to Millennium Mall every day in a suit, and I would go.
So you're a college graduate and you're working
Yeah.
at Tommy Bahama.
I was going to Louis Vuitton, Versace. I would wear a suit, and I was just like, yo, I want to work here. Like, I can bring a lot to the table, creativity, not just like checking people out. But they were always like, oh, it's like these are one of the most
Sought after.
sought after jobs. Like, you're gonna be in a long line. So then the guy at Tommy Bahama, I think that had told me no, and then the guy that was like the manager, like came out one day and was like, yo, come. Like, I kind of see some potential. Like, I want to work. Like, let's do this.
So wait a minute. Did you want to work at Tommy Bahama or Versace, or was it just an ends to the means?
So like I said, in college, I had started the clothing brand. So my thought was, I don't really know how to build my own company right now. Maybe if I can work with them, I can learn the ropes. But even if I don't start my own company, I can move up. So maybe I'll be creative director at Versace or help them make T-shirts or do something. I'll learn, and then I can go from there. That was my thought. So I'm like, if I can work at these higher end brands, that I'll learn a lot because that's the direction I wanted to go. Once I was working at the law firm, right? $10 an hour.
Yep.
But unlimited hours, so I could kind of finesse extra time if I needed to. So basically, I'm like either working or watching courses and like learning a lot of the time. I remember I would be the first person there and the last person to leave most days. So then I would do Uber afterwards. So again, making a little bit more money, but not like a ton, but I'm not having to clock in somewhere for sure. So then once I took that course by Ty Lopez and I was able to say, hey, instead of hourly, pay me as another business, I started an LLC. I went to go get other people, started making like $3,000 or $4,000 a month. So that's when I'm like, okay. Then my overhead was like nothing because I'm like, I'm just
living at home.
Yeah, I'm just creating content off the phone. Just got to go see them, and then that's it. I didn't have any other employees. I mean, I wasn't doing an email list. Like I had no software that I was really running. So
when did you stop doing all the ancillary stuff? The retail job, working for somebody else. When did you come to that realization that I'm just going to go do my own thing?
I forget exactly what happened with Tommy Bahama. If that was during I don't think that was during the Deloitte thing because that was when I was working at Disney. But I forget what happened. Something happened with I think I was trying to like do Uber sometimes and do Tommy Bahama, but there was like peak hours. So I'd ask them like, hey, could I do this? There was a guy there that had a podcast that worked there. We would always talk about social media, growing a business. He's always like, oh man, cool and everything. And so we would like, I thought we were being vulnerable with each other talking about our businesses. He was in control of the schedule. So then he calls me one day, oh, you're working on all these other things. So we're gonna have to let you go. I'm like, bro. So from there, they just stopped putting me on the schedule.
You know, as we're going through this stuff with me talking to guys doing their own business, I tell them constantly as they start telling me I'm doing this on the side, hey, with your employer, you are where you are till the day you're not. They said, what do you mean? I go, don't even tell your best friend you're doing something on the side. You're there at that company till you're not.
Yeah.
You know, good advice.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
So they cut back your hours. Then what happened?
No, they just took me off the schedule. They didn't even cut my hours. Like, yo, we're not putting you on the schedule.
They didn't even fire you?
So at that point, that's when I was looking at like, okay, I have this cigarette thing. In between that, I was learning like building apps and I would like charge people here and there, but nothing. Yeah. I couldn't figure out how to like run an actual business. And even to me, like making $2,000, $3,000 a month was like, I didn't even know people did that. You know what I mean? Yep. I'm like, how is that even possible? So then when I did the cigarette thing, then worked at the law firm, then took the course, then started doing the social media. Once I had like three or four clients that were paying, and I'm like, okay, this is like, it's recurring. So I'm like, it's not even like I have to keep trying to get new clients. Like I'm selling like a t-shirt and it's like, okay, I had a good month, but I got to start all the way over the next month. I'm like, I'm just going to do this. That was 2017, I think, 2016, 2017.
How much money are you making then?
Probably like 30 grand a year, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe. That was pretty much what I was doing from 2017 to 2020. And then I just got smarter of, instead of working with the taco shop and them paying me $300 a month, I went and got stem cell doctors that would pay $2,500, $3,000. So towards the end of that, I would just go find businesses that could pay more, and I would just have 2 of them. I'm like, I just have 2 people paying me like $2,000, $3,000 a month. That's $5-6 grand, or 4 to 5, I would say. And then that's it. I wouldn't even try to get new clients or anything like that. Me and Lauren started going to Paris, Italy, all these different places. But when I'm there, I'm like, I can't really fully enjoy myself because they still expect this content to go out. I felt like I still want to be Ty Lopez in a sense. Like, I want to have my own personal brand, but I'm building their brands. I'm never building my own. So I'm still trying to figure out how do I put out YouTube content, do all this type of stuff.
But you knew you wanted to be in the space? Was digital it for you, or were you thinking, I need to
I didn't
quit
even know.
this?
I think I didn't even know. Because, like, what happened from there was, I don't even remember what gave me the idea, but I said, I think I just saw people online making money with music. Mm-hmm. And I just saw a lot of people complaining, like, I can't make money with music online. And I was like, okay, I kind of have been making some money online. I know the social media aspect. I know how to also produce music, so I was doing that. What would happen if I tried to do it? So I told Lauren, like, I think I said, I'm going to give myself 30 to 60 days and see what happens. And I signed up for this site called BeatStars. I was like, I'm just going to go hard. I'm going to make like 2 or 3 beats every day for 30 days and see what happens. And within that time, I made like $3,000 or something like that, 3 or 4,000. And most of the people I knew that made beats had never made that in their whole life. So like, how are you making money like doing this? I'm like, I'm growing a brand. You guys are just showing your computer screen and your beats, and it's just like a commodity. Like, they're just comparing how much it is. But people want to work with me specifically because of the brand. So then I realized I like teaching the thing better than doing the thing. That's how I realized that. So I'm like, okay, maybe my thing is coaching or teaching. I don't know what that looks like yet.
That was a big shift.
Yeah.
What were you doing on the webinars?
I came up
teaching? Or?
Yeah, I came up with this thing called I'm going to mess it up, but it's like 9-5-15 method. Where I was like, it takes you guys forever to create content, but I can show you how to do this in 9 minutes, how to do this in 5 minutes, and this in 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so on the thing, I was like, I can teach you guys how to create your content this short, come up with the captions in this, edit and post it in this much, like, and this is my process. And then I have an online course that you can buy for like $600 or something like that. So I do a live webinar talking about it, and at the end do the pitch, and people buy it. So I remember it was cool to me. I had some days where it's like 1 or 2 people would buy it, and I'm like, oh man, we made like $1,000 like on this thing. And then I would go to like out to get cocktails somewhere, and then people were like, what do you do? And then I would tell them like, oh, we're making money online, which even that was 2020, like it wasn't as popular. But still, I'm like, okay, we're making $1,000 a month, and the place that we're living is $2,500. So we got to figure this out. So I started doing these like once the pandemic hit, I started doing what we're doing now, but online, Zoom. Everybody started connecting more, on video.
What were you doing?
Just like this, just talking to whoever. I posted in this ClickFunnels group, and I was like, hey, I want to do more podcasts with entrepreneurs. Who wants to be on? And then it was like not hundreds, but probably almost 100 people commenting. So I went through them, and I just looked at like interesting people, and then I just sent them a link, and we would just chat.
I remember you doing that program, and I didn't know exactly what you were doing. But I remember you were working with pastors, and what did that turn into?
Yeah,
that was a successful. So was that a big turning point?
So what I was scared of is I invested this $10K into this guy to help me, Dan Henry. Then they helped me figure out what my messaging was, but it wasn't like, I mean, you know how he is. He's not like, I'm going to help you with your messaging. Oh, no. He's like, this is stupid. Why'd you do this wrong? Like, he's going in. So after getting yelled at numerous times, I figured out what I wanted to do. Then I did this live, and now these pastors asking me how they can work with me. So I'm like, man, there's a lot of clients, but do I go back and tell them, hey, thanks for the help, but I want to do something new? I was really nervous about that. So when you have that many people that are reaching out to you, like, and if that feels like something you're aligned with, go for it. So then I messaged, there was a coaching call actually that day. So I was like super happy. I was like, oh, wow. So I asked her, I was like, this is what's happening. What do you think? And she's like, well, the goal of most people is to get clients reaching out to them, and they can't. And you're not trying to do that, and you did. And this is the direction you want to go, and I think you should do it. So I was like super relieved. So then we built this program around like a lot of the pastors and churches that have a volunteer doing their social media, but that person usually isn't any good. So what if I could come in and train that person, teach them what to post, teach them what to say, and then they can post everything for you. So we built this program called Church Social Media Made Easy. Did the whole launch thing with the webinar where you pitch it. At the end, like the goal was, he wanted me to sell it for $5,000. I'm like, no church is going to pay that. I'm going to do $1,000. And he said, no, you need to do it at least like $1,500 or $3,000. So he's like, but what you're going to do is you're going to pitch it, and then you're just going to sell it for $297. Did a live webinar, had people on, did the pitch. No one bought anything. So I'm like, during this time, I was punching holes in the wall, throwing speakers. I was very frustrated. I'm like, man, we invested this money. We have to pay for this stuff. Like, I feel like I have the knowledge, but it's just not working. I was so frustrated. Messaging people. I think I got like 2 people in there. So I did the live thing with them. And then he's like, all right, cool. You have some people. You have some testimonials. Just start selling it. Just sell it for $3,000 now. I'm like, bro, this is a stupid idea. It's not going to work. Selling it. And the first couple people are like, I'm not paying. I don't even know who you are. I got on a Zoom call with you. I'm not paying you that. This is dumb. Like, they're like, oh, this is a scam. So I remember we had like a lot of like the bills that were coming up at this time, and I still had to make the payment. So $2,500 for the rent, $3,100 something for this payment.
The walls are caving.
Groceries. Oh my gosh, everything. So I remember I was talking to one of my friends that was in the program. I'm like, I think I'm gonna just decrease my price in order to make some sales. And he's like, nah. And I think I can't remember if he agreed or said no. But then Lauren was like, listen, you're not gonna quit just because of some bills. Like, if the lights go off, they go off. Like, just keep pushing. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, we're not going to go homeless. And if we do, like, we figure it out from there. You have your laptop. They're not going to take that. So just keep pushing. So I'm like, okay, I'm down for that. But I didn't know if you were down for that. But if you're down for that, that's what we're doing. So the next day I had a call with somebody. He was like, I like it. Let me go to the bank, see what I can do. Called me back like in an hour, send the invoice, paid the full $3,000. All of it.
3,000.
Yeah, right then. So I was like, wow, okay. A little bit later, had someone else join. So
wait a minute. You couldn't sell it at $97. No. You couldn't sell it at $297, but you got 2 clients at $3,000 a pop.
I think the difference was like you're having a conversation, you know, like people can ask you questions. You can have a conversation. You're building the rapport. It's easier than just putting up a landing page that says $297. They might have one question that's so simple as like, how long is the duration of your help? But if they don't know that, they're just not going to buy. But on a call, you can say, oh, 6 months, a year, it's unlimited. Here's what we do. And, oh, okay. So I think they just wanted to know. It's easier to build trust, I think, that way. To go back a little bit, I was going to just do an automated course. I wasn't going to do the whole high ticket sales. I was going to have a course that was like $1,000, $1,500. That was my original plan. Dan Henry comes out with this thing like, oh, you guys should do high ticket sales. It's easier, but you got to get on the phone. You got to do all this stuff. So I went out to eat with your parents, and I was like, I'm conflicted. I just spent $10K for this thing, and I don't know if I should do high ticket or if I should do automated. Because if I do this thing, it's taking me away from this. What if it doesn't work? Now I'm wasting this time. Also, I don't know if I want to like spend my whole life on these calls. Like, there's a lot. And then we were just talking. I was like, I think I'm going to go for it. Once we got those 2 sales, I told Lauren, I was like, once we have our first 10K month, let's take them out to eat. Before that next month was over, we had already made 20.
Man.
Yeah. So it was just taking off. Yeah. It was crazy.
How cool.
So it was crazy because it's like we had seen them and we're like, okay, it was during the pandemic. So you're not seeing people all the time. So it was like towards the end. So we're like, okay, once we have our first 10K month, let's take them out. And like before we could see them again, it was like 18, 20 something. And then awesome. From there, it was like the next month, I think it was like 20. And then it was like 30. That was just that was pretty crazy. So during this time, 2020, during the same period, we're starting to make some money. So now we're thinking about other options, right? To have some money to do so. So Barbados, I think Barbados was one of the first ones. They opened up a digital nomad visa. Like, hey, you can live here for a year. You don't have to do like the 90 days or the typical things. You can just move here, stay for a whole year. Like, why don't we do that? Like, let's make some money. We can live there, and then we can, just stay there. So we started looking into it, and then we're like, we're going to have to move there for a whole year. We started watching videos, and we're like, okay, other people are traveling, like digital nomads. They're going from place to place to place. Why don't we just do that? Why instead of committing to a place? So the only place that was open really at that time was Mexico. So for our anniversary, which was in November, we went to Mexico, Playa del Carmen for 2 weeks, or I can't remember if it was a week or 2 weeks. We went to Tulum, and then we went to Playa del Carmen to test it out. So we liked it. So we're like, okay, next year, let's just be digital nomads. That's actually, whenever I talked to them on that sales call, she asked me what my goal was. And I was like, man, if I can make $5,000 a month, that would be awesome. My goal would be every 3 months to go travel somewhere.
I remember my brother called me. You know what Dee's doing? I go, what? What's going on? What's happening? And we're not too much in everybody's business. I mean, we're all for you. And it's like, yep, selling the car, putting stuff in storage, taking off to Mexico. I'm like, what do you do? Is he in trouble?
Yeah, like it was funny because on that call, before I invested the 10K, she asked me what my goal was. I said $5K a month. And my goal would be to travel once every 3 months. That would be awesome. And she started laughing. I was like, what's so funny? And she's like, that's such a little goal. Like, that's nothing. $5,000 a month. You're working with Dan Henry.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, $5,000 a month sounds like so hard to do. Traveling once every 3 months, it sounds super hard to do, because up until then, it's like once a year for 4 days, 5 days. So that was in March, I think. So by December, we're already having 20K, 30K months. And by the next February, that's when we decided, like, let's just sell our stuff and move to Mexico. So that's when we started traveling. From there, to kind of fast forward through the story, you know, we were living in Mexico, lived in Colombia. But over that year, I just felt like I wasn't aligned with that audience. You know, I think that's where, like, the pivot, like, as the story, like, there's been a lot of pivots. But I just realized, like, man, this is, like, we're making good money, but I'm not, like, aligned with this. Like, one, I'm traveling and I never even see my niche. I don't ever see pastors. I never really talk to them, except it's about business. And it's hard for me to do the things that I feel like I need to do to make sales, which is like building relationships. When one, they're 70 years old, most of them, 60, 70. They don't really know how to even use social media to have these conversations. And even when we're working together, it's at such a beginner level that it's hard to get progress. And I just felt like the integrity and just different things, it was like a really, like, I felt like it just didn't really align with what I was doing. So I remember at this point, things were kind of slowing down in the business, and we're in Mexico. We're in Mexico City. We're staying in like this little Airbnb. I was so frustrated. I was about to do this Instagram live, like, just like, oh, this sucks. This is terrible. I hate doing this. And I remember Lauren was like, just call this guy. Like, we had a really good friend. His name's Ray. He's a pastor. She's like, call this guy and talk to him first before you go crazy. Like, just talk to him. So when I was talking to him, he was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you even working with pastors? Like, oh, man, I feel like, he's like, why haven't you quit? Like, why not just switch? And I was like, well, I feel like this is something that God has been calling me to do. That's why I haven't. And that's why I don't want to just quit. And he was like, what it sounds like to me is God told you to work with pastors. And I'm like, yeah, I just told you that. He's like, but he didn't tell you to work only with pastors. And I was like, oh, wow, that's like a big, moment. And he's like,
moment.
yeah, he's like, he didn't say only work with them. He's like, they can still buy your programs if they want to. You're not closing the door, but you're closing it to all these other people. He's like, I think if you pivot what you're doing and work with entrepreneurs, they have more money, which is going to allow you to sustain what you're doing. Over time, pastors are going to see what you're doing, and then they can come in. But he's like, also, you're not just preaching to the choir. He's like, right now, you're just reaching these same people that already know the message. But he's like, if you open it up, you can, like, be global, like how you guys are traveling. So from there, I was just like really nervous. I was like, okay, let's open this up to entrepreneurs. And I thought in my mind that that would be as simple as just changing the word pastor to entrepreneurs. And it wasn't. That was definitely not the case.
Did you go through the cycle I see with so many sales guys? I mean, they're up here, they're killing it, right? You got this business, and then it's down here. And when they get down here, man, it's all this self-doubt. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I've lost the mojo. Did you go through that?
I remember there was one time when we were in Mexico and the bank account was so low that we were hungry for dinner, and we went to this, it was me, Natalia, our daughter, and Lauren, and we went to this place, and all we could get was a pasta and share it, which is nothing for me. I'm still like, I was like, bring more of the bread. Like, I just had them keep bringing the bread and the dip. And so I'm like, man, we got to figure this out. And it was like, God just really helped during that time, because it was during Christmas and during, like, close to my birthday. So it was like random people were reaching out like, oh, hey, I wanted to send you Christmas, but early, So it was like, then we would use that money to buy food and to buy groceries. And I kept saying, like, man,
the real story,
like, what the heck is going on? Like, how can we not figure this out? And it's like, fortunately, all the time, like, my wife, Lauren, would always be like, yo, just like keep pushing. I can't help you because I don't know any of this stuff, but I can just motivate you to say, like, keep going, like, keep pushing.
So what was the pivotal point? Because you guys came home, and then you took off, and you were going to, I know you were going to London.
Uh-huh.
And I'm talking to my mom, and she's like, nah, he's not there. He's in Istanbul.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what? He's in Istanbul? No, he's in Hungary.
Yeah.
What happened? What changed in your business? And then what about the travel? What's it like being, you say nomad?
Digital nomad.
Being
I think,
a
like,
digital nomad.
so for me, I don't know about you, maybe you can speak on this too, is like, whenever I'm having those low points, I have to do something that keeps me motivated. Like, all of the ever since me and Lauren were married, I always had to be like, I have to have a crazy plan or I'm going to get depressed. Like, I would be like, we're going to Paris at the end of the year. So all this BS that we're going through is worth it because it's like a step to get there and like saving money. Like, I always had a plan. So I remember we were in Mexico one day and I was like, all right, we have to go to this coffee shop and we have to do this exercise. And she's like, what do we have to do? I'm like, we have to map out like what our perfect like life would look like. Like we got to make like vision boards.
Brunson.
Yeah, I was like, we got to start like visualizing this stuff. And I know it's going to be difficult, but we have to just like start like thinking about it. So I think like, yeah, when we came back to the States, the reason why I mentioned that, so we were like, we kind of came up with our idea of like, we don't want to just travel like every single month. We'd rather have a hub, have a routine. But she's like, I'm getting tired of always having to pick a place. So I'm like, what if we didn't? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'll pick a place for 3 months. You pick a place for 3 months, then I'll pick a place. So now you're only picking 2 places a year. It's not as much, rather than like
and
every
still
month.
travel.
Yeah. And I'm like, and the goal would be we're looking for a hub that we can stay at long term and travel from there. So when it was her time to pick, she picked the U.S. for 3 months.
That's how you got back here?
But the rule was, this was the rule. You can.
I didn't know that.
I pick for 3 months. You pick for 3 months, and because we're switching, you can't complain about the other person's choice. So
I never even knew when you guys came home.
So
that
she
was the
like,
deal.
she's like, I'm like, okay, we're gonna go see family. Then what?
Was
She's
she
like,
homesick or what?
yeah. She's like, we're gonna stay here for 3 months. I'm like, I couldn't say anything. That was the rule. Couldn't complain. I'm like, okay. So during that time, I'm like, okay, we're still trying to figure out the messaging, and then I realized, okay, we're helping them with video. So let's just say we're helping them use video to get clients. Started getting a couple clients. And then it was about to be my turn to pick after that 3 months. So I was like, instead of me having to figure it out on my own, why don't I just pray about it and see what God says? And I felt like he said London for some reason. And I was like, it's expensive, though. It doesn't really make sense. Like, we're trying to grow our business. Why would I go all the way? One, I got to buy a more expensive flight. It's more expensive there. I want to just go to Mexico. And I feel like I was like, yeah, you're trying to do what's comfortable. I'm not calling you to do that. I was praying about it. And then we had planned in our mind like a date that we were going to go. I had a sales call. This guy was like, hey, I really want to work with you. I think at that time we were still selling I was doing a deal for like 3,000 or 4,000 for this new thing, like the pivoted. And so I'm like, if he pays, I'm going to buy the flight. Like, good. We're like on our path. And he's like, yeah, I want to try it, but I want to make sure it's something I want to do. So is there a way you can give me like 30 or 24 hours to make a decision, but I'm going to pay? And if I don't like it, I can come to you and say no. So I'm like, he's going to love it. 24 hours later, I want a refund. I'm like, all right, how are we going to get this flight now? I was trying to talk him into it. So I'm like, man, this just sucks. So then a couple of days later, this lady, Lauren Tickner, messaged me that I had been following. Was like, yo, I know we've been talking. I know we haven't been able to connect. I don't know where you're at in the world right now, but I'm doing an event in London. And the event was on the 10th. We were going to move on like the 20th something. So I'm like, if he would have paid and I would have got that money,
That's why you went before Lauren.
Yes.
I remember that.
I was like, I would have already bought the ticket. So I'm like, this actually worked perfect. So what happened was it's just funny that we're here recording this here. I was like, man, I need to pray about this and see what's going on. So I took a walk that obviously they can't see, but there's like a big lake over here. I walk. That's like, I don't know, how long do you think it would take to walk around this whole thing? 15 minutes, 20 minutes? If you just go around here.
Yeah,
and
it'd take you a good 20 minutes to walk around the lake out here. Yeah.
I walked around it and I'm like, man, I need to have something needs to happen.
Some clarity or
something. I walked around it as soon as I got back, like to where I started. I checked my phone and this guy messaged me. I know my payment's not due yet, but like I'll pay the rest. It was like $2,000. The flight for one person over there is like $400 or $500. So I was like, dang, that's crazy. Like I bought the tickets that day. I was super nervous because I had never been to a different country by myself. Go over there, meet Lauren, met some people there, got a client while I was there. So I'm like, oh dang, this is like a cool little risk.
What are you doing at this point? What did it change into?
At this time, it's the same program. Like people still get enrolled. I still have the pastors that I'm working with before. So I'm in London. This whole story is crazy. I'm in London. Okay. So I go to a coffee shop and I'm like, I'm going to do some work. I got to try to figure something out, get some clients, get some money, something. So the guy next to me is like, oh, what is it that you do? And I was like, or where are you from? So I was telling him, he's like, what is it that you do? I was like, oh, I work online. He's like, oh, you're just traveling? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how do you like it here? And I was like, it's cool. It's a little bit expensive. And he's like, have you ever been to Istanbul? That's where I'm from. I was like, nah, I don't know anything about it. He's showing me pictures. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And he's like, you should think about it. So I'm like, okay. So then he's like, when you're done with your food, I know a spot you can go to that's close. I'll walk you over there. I'm like, man, it's like the hospitality was just so crazy. So then later that day, I'm searching like cheap places to live in Europe. And it was like Istanbul, Hungary, Istanbul, Hungary, Istanbul, Hungary. So I called my friend because she's always telling us to come visit in Budapest, Hungary. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm thinking about coming maybe to Budapest. I want to ask you some questions. And she said, I'm not in Budapest right now. And I was like, oh, where are you? And she said, I'm in Istanbul.
Ah!
And I was like, what? This is crazy. And she's like, yeah, but the thing is, like, I'm here by myself. I came out here to visit, but I'm kind of nervous, and I haven't been able to, like, I haven't actually done anything because I don't know how safe it is for a woman. I was like, I'm looking for a cheaper place to stay. What if I came? You know the area, but you're unsafe. You're not unsure. I'll go. We can explore together, and then it works. So went out there. She kind of showed me around. She ended up going back to Hungary. I stayed there for like 3 weeks in Budapest, just looking around. It was really cheap, and it was really nice. The food was great. The people were super nice. It was amazing. But the Wi-Fi was really hard to work. I remember at this point, I'm gone for like 2 months, so it's time for Lauren to finally start flying. But she hadn't came because we didn't have the money yet. So we're finally getting a little bit of money in, and it's like $3,000 or $4,000 for them to come to Istanbul. It's a lot farther. So I'm like, man, what are we gonna do? So I'm like, just type in Europe. Budapest comes up as the cheapest place for them to go. So I'm like, all right, let's visit our friend. Let's go for a week, and she can stop asking us. So booked the flight. And then doubt started creeping in, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are we going to go there? Let's just go back to Mexico City. Let's build a routine. It's a lot cheaper. It's familiar. And let's just build from there. I'm like, let's just do this the most logical way I can think of. Talk to Lauren, and she goes to cancel her ticket, and they're like, you can cancel it, but you're not going to get any of your money. So
no refund.
She was so mad that day, like just so frustrated. And I said, you're not able to cancel it. And this is pointing, like God has a purpose for this for some reason. I was like, I don't know how, but let's just go with it and see what happens. I went there like a day or two before them. And as soon as I got there, I knew. I was like, this is the spot. Like my friend showed me, she's like, meet me here. I'm going to show you around. And I was looking around. I was like, she's like, every time you're saying this is so nice. Why? All the time. I'm like, it's because it's nice. Like our cities aren't built with this architecture and everything. I'm like, you just took me to one spot where we got dinner for like $2. Then you took me around the corner to Versace, Louis Vuitton. Like we don't have that to mix of everything. So that's how we ended up over there. And over that time, that's how I realized like, my YouTube channel started taking off. We're going from under 1,000 subscribers to over 6,000. Started making a lot of money with that, and so I just realized, like, man, let's just double down on that. Like, my YouTube is doing well. That's what I like doing. Let's just cut all the other stuff off and just only focus on that. Let's do YouTube for coaches, like helping coaches use YouTube to get clients. And I was like, the thing I figured out this whole time was instead of me doing the editing, I can have a virtual assistant do it. And I realized like most people, that's what they struggle with. They are stuck in doing the day-to-day. And I was like, if I can hire someone for them, show them how to manage this person and do everything, that's what I think we should do. And so that's what we pivoted to, and like that's what we've been doing now.
So what's next? What are you guys doing next? And who picked the states to come back to this last time?
So, well, we did the event in Mexico. And so the deal is Natalia, my wife's daughter, my stepdaughter, is she stays with her dad 6 months and with us. So it's like, well, we're here. We're going to come pick her up. We had to come pick her up anyways. And then let's stay like and visit friends and family.
What a great education she's getting. I got to spend a little bit of time with Natalia, but, man, the homeschooling, the travel.
She loves
the culture, travel's education. Mm-hmm. How exciting.
So like I think travel-wise, our plan is to like – I think we accomplished our goal so far of like finding a hub. So like stay in Budapest mainly, travel from there, which has been really cool. Before, like when we went to Colombia and these other places, it's like pack everything up and then go. And pack everything up. Even if like we went on trips for a week, you're taking everything. So now it's cool. We were staying in Budapest. We went to Spain, we went to Portugal, and like you just take a little bit of stuff and you have a place coming back. So Budapest, Hungary will be a hub for the summer, and I think Lisbon will be a hub for the winter. And then the plan right now is to build out our offers. So like I said, we're adding like a one-on-one piece, and we want to start doing those in-person workshops like twice a year. And just, I think basically what you just said, we're like, let's make less money to focus on customer service, build it the right way, and then we'll have this strong foundation to get where we want to be, rather than people we see that are just building up a ton of money and then the customer service isn't on point, and then it just crumbles. So on the 28th, we're going back to London because they didn't get to go.
Couple weeks.
Yeah, we're going to London for like 2 or 3 days.
Vacation.
Yeah. After that, we'll go back to Budapest. until November, and then the plan is to stay in Lisbon, Portugal for the winters because it was not trying to do that cold over there again, and then go back to Budapest.
How fun!
But I actually want to say this on this podcast for the first time me saying it is like every day probably for the past maybe 2 weeks or so, like someone has mentioned Thailand to me.
Really?
It's so weird. It's so weird. Like, and I was saying that, and then today I had a call, and the guy was like, all right, I want to work with you, but I don't want to spend the money yet because I have a lot coming up. I was like, what's coming up? He's like, I'm moving to Thailand on the 25th. I'm like, every day.
Thailand's in your
So I'm like,
future.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know if,
Yeah.
So I'll say it now. Maybe
Pray.
in a year or two, you'll be like, I remember we did this podcast. You said Thailand. I don't know.
How crazy, man. I'm so proud of you. Everything you've been through, you've just endured through it. And, man, talk about the pivot. I mean, just pivot your way through life, right? I mean, this is the ultimate about what we talk about on this podcast, just pivoting through it. But I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you guys back home for a little while. Well, it's good to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you. You guys, see you in the next one.